Morning, David.
Christopher, it's good to see you. This will be the last week for a couple, because, well, for you anyway,
Yes.
because you're off to Croatia. Croatia.
Yeah.
Are you swimming there or paddling or?
Well, we might do a bit of paddling, might do a bit of swimming. Might have to swim all the way home if the aeroplanes run out of jet fuel.
Exactly. Croatia is lovely, having been there, and I know you've been to it before, and but you're going to a different part this time.
Yeah, well, I did Montenegro about 4 or 5 years ago, and then just crept over the border into Croatia and Dubrovnik. But now we're going into the middle of Croatia, right by the sea.
Yeah, lovely, beautiful place. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed it, and when we were there, lots of cats. I remember where we were. Cats everywhere.
Oh, were there?
Wild ones, and there was a charity which I made a donation to try and capture them when they can, neuter them, and then put them back where they found them to stop them breeding
So I guess
on.
they don't have a mice problem.
Didn't see many mice or rats for that, or whatever, but I saw lots of cats.
Yeah, there's cats doing their job.
There we are. So anyway, today there's no Callie. Don't know where she is. Perhaps she's on a golf course somewhere. I don't know.
I suspect she's busy working.
Bad thing. She's going to have to learn quicker than this about that, isn't she? Just in case the bishop's watching, Bishop, of course, we're very faithful and loyal to our work, aren't we, Chris?
Yes, Bishop.
Yeah, we are. So we're going to read today, or you're going to read today, from the first letter of Peter.
Yes, I am. Shall I go straight into it?
Go for it.
Cheer the bishop up without the too much waffle at the start.
Exactly. Actually, talking about waffle, Bishop, we did think of you when we were at the Waffle House for our chapter meeting the other day. I thought, this is the place for a clergy chapter under me to meet the Waffle House. There we are.
That was slickly put in there, David.
Yeah, well done.
So 1 Peter chapter 2. Like newborn infants, long for pure spiritual milk, so that by it you may grow into salvation. If indeed you have tasted that the Lord is good, come to him, a living stone, though rejected by mortals, yet chosen and precious in God's sight. And like living stones, let yourselves be built into a spiritual house, to be a holy priesthood, to offer spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. For it stands in Scripture, see, I am laying in Zion a stone, a cornerstone, chosen and precious, and whoever believes in him will not be put to shame. To you then who believe, he is precious, but for those who do not believe, the stone that the builders rejected has become the very head of the corner, and a stone that makes them stumble and a rock that makes them fall. They stumble because they disobey the word, as they were destined to do. But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's own people, in order that you may proclaim the mighty acts of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Once you were not a people, but now you are God's people. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. There you go.
I love Peter. Well, I love Peter's writing. Joe always thinks I have a down on him because he does some pretty silly things and stupid things. But by now he's begun to learn, I think. And his writings are very good.
Well, I like his directness and his just go for it attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
It's stumble in. And sometimes you often learn that, I remember it even being taught in management classes, the wrong decision is often better than no decision. And you can never accuse Peter of making no decision.
You can certainly accuse him of making some rather strange ones at times, but whether they were wrong or not is open to debate.
Well, it is, but even like the denial, I won't deny you.
Yeah.
And he did. Jesus brought him back again.
Yeah. Well, what I think about it, Chris, and you started off really with him, he's very human, isn't he?
He is very human.
He's very human, and like all of us, he makes mistakes. Or not mistakes, he blurts. That's the thing with him, isn't it? I'll never leave you. Never thought about it.
Yeah.
It was within his mind and his heart. I'll never leave you. Oh, hello, Lord, you're on top of a hill. Let me build 3 houses for you.
Yeah, but that happened.
It did.
It's still
Exactly.
there.
But it's that instant bump.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about him.
I think the phrase is normally, isn't it? Engaged brain before opening mouth.
Yeah, and Paul was straight in there. And for that, I admire some of his bravado and whatever, and his passion. I think he had a deep passion for the Lord. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, he certainly did, and like you say, he ended up becoming the first pope or first bishop, whatever you want to call it.
Call him first leader of the recognised leader of the church, I reckon. Yeah.
Yeah. So, by the Book of Acts, he was the head of the church and the head of all the Christians, because of it. What do you think of that interesting phrase, though? Crave for pure spiritual milk to grow into salvation, because elsewhere in the Bible it tells us to grow out past milk into solid food.
It does. It does. Well, I guess you've got to start somewhere, and if the church in those early days, because we are talking about early days of what was a new way of life, the new following, the new way, follow the way, whatever Christian followers in the way, Christians were often called in early days. You have to start somewhere as a baby, and grow deeper into life, don't you? And so as a child you do start off with that pure spiritual milk, and it's only by taking in the milk that you begin to build strong, roots, as you say. And
so what would you say, going into a Chris Grask evangelical mode?
Oh, hang on a second, I don't know if I can cope with this, but carry on.
If somebody was thinking, actually, there might be something in this Christianity, maybe I need to explore, what do you think their first spiritual milk should be?
I think that's a good question, Chris. One for your Point and Ponder group, perhaps, as well. I think it's a genuine conversation from someone who has a genuine heart that Jesus is love and loves all of us.
Yeah.
Jesus is there for all of us, regardless of background, life, who we are, what we've done in the past.
Yeah, and I suppose that I'm one of these people who thinks, Christianity is all about head and heart.
Mm-hmm.
It can be quite easy for us to jump into, I've got to learn to understand.
Mm-hmm.
But that needs to the spiritual milk obviously helps us grow in our heart as well. Mm-hmm. So we need to balance Peter charged forward what we were just saying about how he just acted, and you could almost say, don't put it off, get on with it. Try praying. Pray any way you know how. Try experiencing it. Try going to church. Try doing what you're saying, talking to people. But it's as much about feeling the presence and the calm of Jesus as well it is understanding and learning about him.
I guess the difficult thing is, Chris, if you've not been enculturated from a childhood in a form of faith, I'm trying to break up faith to church going.
Yeah.
Because so many people think that going to church is what makes you a Christian, and we know that it's far deeper and wider than that.
Yes.
And that going to church is just a part of meeting with other like-minded people that you can commune with and share in worship with.
Yeah.
Which is good and positive. But if you're a new person who's never experienced that, how do you even know where to begin with what we would say as prayer? We know what we mean by prayer, don't we?
Yeah.
And you and I, of course, as I said to the Archdeacon yesterday when I was talking to her, you and I are experts in prayer. We're paid to do it.
Yeah.
And you will have had, like I've had over the many years of ministry, lots of people say, as you've been going around the golf course, say one for me.
Yeah. I run that in my church newsletter every week for the last 7 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
Say one for me. Any prayer requests, send me an email and I'll add you to my list.
And so it's easy for us. But if you're searching, and I think there is no doubt in society, with not just in this country but worldwide, that because of the situation of the world, there are people that are searching for something to base their lives on or around. And as Christians, we believe we have the right answer, or we have an answer, that following Jesus because he is love and loves us is a good way in which to build and to base our lives. But if you've never had any of that, it's understanding what we mean by prayer. Well, you and I would have a fairly stock answer, wouldn't we? I guess that prayer is how we begin or hold a relationship with God by talking with Him.
Yeah. Talking and listening to God. Do you
And
think
that's the other key thing, Chris. We're very good, aren't we, as Christians, and certainly as priests, we're very good at talking. But how often do we listen to God's response? Because that is almost as key as the talking, listening to what God has to say to us.
Yeah. 2 ears, 1 mouth, all that sort of stuff.
All of those things. And I think we are very good, you know. And I know we joked at the beginning about meeting at the Waffle House and Bishop Karen thinking we waffle too much. And perhaps she's right, you know, because, you know, what we're doing now is trying to explore what this passage actually means. It's about being called to holy living, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just goes on, doesn't it? Spiritual milk,
Yeah.
precious in God's sight, living stones, spiritual
Come
house.
to him. But the key about that is he's come to him as the living stone, in which, because the living stone, the cornerstone, as we sing in the hymn, Christ is our cornerstone. The cornerstone is the very basis on usually the first brick laid, isn't it? When you have a ceremony to, you know, for the laying of the first brick, it's the cornerstone on which all the rest is going to be built around.
And hopefully built in straight lines and things.
And which is why I could never be an engineer, because I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, Chris. So asking me to lay a line of bricks would be fairly useful. I'd be pretty dangerous in that, a bit like Thomas Hardy, because he was pretty dangerous with his architecture and building. But Christ is that stone in which, that, you know, to use the metaphor of the stone, that stone in which we build our lives around, individually, collectively, in prayer, in worship, and that's what it means. I say the whole of this reading for me is about being called to a holy living, a life of specialness in Jesus, and you know, and it you know, we're all called to be a holy priesthood. People think that you and I, because we're ordained, are the only form. We were talking earlier, weren't we, about a conversation you'd had about with a lay worship leader and what an understanding could be. And as you, I think your words were, they bring a different aspect to praying and worshipping together because they're coming from a different angle, perhaps to us who are seen with authority. When you go and say a few words, and people say, "Oh, the vicar said." If one of your lay worship leaders go and say that, just say, "Well, that was an interesting talk today, maybe." You know, but lay worship leaders have the same authority in many ways because we're giving them that authority to lead a community in prayer and worship. That every word they say, and it's not just a sermon, but every word that comes during worship is positive to God and His authority. In
Yeah,
my
and they're
mind,
doing their little bit to help. And I always like the phrase, I've sort of adopted it several times since I've been here and things. Actually, this is us. This is one of
yeah,
us. And
yeah.
like you say, lay worship leaders is leading the people together in prayer.
Yeah, and you'll always get the odd maverick. You get the odd. Well, you get the odd. No, you don't get the odd. You get many maverick priests
You do.
who speak outside of perhaps what would be expected, from in normally, and you always get the odd maverick layperson. But I think again, it's about passion. I think if you believe you're being called by God to do something, then it becomes a passion that you're doing it because you're doing it for God. And I was talking to one of our church wardens who said that she realised after her husband had died that God was calling her to do the role of church warden, and that's what she tried to express through her church wardenship. At times, it's got on people's nerves because she's more fervent, perhaps, than they are.
Mm.
But I think I've always said to many people, if they're doing anything in the church, if you're doing your best and you're doing it for God, then that's good.
Yeah, and God takes what you have.
Yeah, and we've got to realise as priests that actually we work together, and we're all equal in God's sight. We may have different roles, different titles, different names: rector, parish priest, priest in charge, team vicar, lay reader, but we're all one family of God who are trying to bring an understanding of what it means to be a follower of Jesus, to know Jesus for yourselves. And that's the call to holy living, that we know Jesus for ourselves. And it is easy to stumble, as it says in that thing. At times Jesus can be a rock on which we stumble because perhaps we're not listening enough to him. This says here, because they've disobeyed the word that they were destined to do. But we're still a holy nation, a royal priesthood, God's own people. And as I said a few weeks ago in one of my sermons, I think I might have said it at Rev Chat, Jesus knows us, he's called us by name, he loves us, and we are his.
So, dear viewer, if you are one of those people who's thinking, maybe I need a bit of spiritual milk as a newborn infant, because I don't know much about Christianity, well, you've made the first step by listening to this, I suppose. That's if our words are worth listening to, of course. But do feel free to say a prayer in any or however way you can. It's probably, like Peter, more important to just start praying rather than trying to work out, am I doing it correctly? Because the correct way will come and be taught to you, and meet with other Christians.
And help, as it says at the very end of that passage you read, Chris, help to bring other people out of darkness into his marvellous light.
Yeah.
Well, have a great time. Have a great time in Croatia, Mr. Grask. Enjoy yourself.
Do my best.
Don't have too many glassfuls by the side of the pool or whatever.
Oh, of course not. I'd never do a thing like that.
No, you wouldn't. And Mrs. Grask, of course, is going with you, so she will keep an eye on you.
Yeah, I might have to feed her a little glass or two as well, though.
Is that just to keep it out of your hair, or
no comment?
No comment.
I'm not going to incriminate myself on recorded YouTube or whatever we're on.
You said you begin to sound like these people I see on these police programs when they're being interviewed. All they say is no comment.
No comment. No comment.
Yeah.
Well, I've made 37 years of marriage, and I plan to make it 38.
Well, dear Chris, as you probably are aware, I'm off this weekend after today for a few days again. I only just come back, but I'm off again because it's our 42nd wedding anniversary on Tuesday.
Oh, congratulations.
42 years. That's 2 life sentences, isn't it?
No comment.
Chris, have a great time. We'll see you when you get back. Dear viewer, I'll have a word with Callie, because if Callie's free, we can we may carry on because she has the skills to do all the Chris does in the recording and getting it sent off to Harry, who then has great skills at drawing all of our Waffle House material together.
Brilliant. Goodbye, everybody.
Have a great time. Bye now.
Bye.